I'm doing the presentation. I'm doing the final expense worksheet, and I'm asking him, what do you take? What do you do this? You know, what is your banking? What's medication? And the guy just gave me the I'm sorry, I don't know. He had the blind eye. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm all like, thanks for joining us at the Monday's Q&A. You got your host, John. We got Joanne. Matching elite shirt, sweaters.
Get
We're looking
yours.
fly. Get yours. Come by. But fire away. Anything new with contracting? As far as the business, admin, and all that.
No, nothing is new. Everything's pretty much the same for now, I guess, until the new year, and they kick off next level contracting, hopefully with their new carriers. But
Okay. Okay. So things are on the works. Any questions for us, guys? Gladys, Marianne, or Marianne came out? I don't know. Disappeared. Oh, there you go. Anything specific? Fire away.
Matching on. I see Gladys and I had matching shirts, sort of color wise.
Yeah.
There you go. Her background matches your shirt.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
What is a senior form, and when do we need it? When should we be thinking about it?
Okay. So let me explain what that is.
Did she say a senior form?
Yes. So Marianne is talking about it. This is specifically a California thing. What is it? How does it work? Technically, in California, anyone you're selling 65 and over requires a California senior form. What a senior form, what most carriers don't even need it. It's just a notice to anyone 65 and up. It's a law that allows that individual. Let's say I'm presenting to you, Marianne, not to call you a senior or anything. Let's say you're 65 and up.
Yes.
You are given a written notice, or you're required to be given a written notice that there's a solicitation visitation for you within 24 hours saying that we're going to be pitching you annuities, life, or health or something, right? And then as the notice comes in, or as you are given a notice, you have every right to be involved in it, to have your power of attorney or lawyer or significant other or whoever else that you feel that can create the help you with the decision making. It's basically just an anti-scam senior notice to make sure that nobody's going to get scammed on. You're not going to get taken advantage of. So when you sell a policy, that's usually required, included with the policy you sold, that you gave them a written notice. Here's how it's happening now. Only American Amicable is the one requiring it. America used to require it. There was a loop around it. At the end, did you see this person in their home? You say no. Let's say you saw them at Starbucks. You didn't need a senior notice.
Yeah.
That's if you sold an American Eagle Premier.
Okay.
We used to have that sign.
The notice is supposed to be given to them prior to a phone call or a meeting with them? Or
You could give it on the same day.
Sunday. Okay.
They are just supposed to have been notified by it. So if you do a Prosperity, if you do a Royal Neighbors, if you do an MMM saying what's the senior notice given, you say yes. Is it regulated? Supposed to? Is it mandatory? Supposed to? But the insurance company now with the COVID and all that, it's kind of like turn a blind eye to it.
So not to worry, basically.
Right. So if you have American Amicable and you wrote an American Amicable app, sometimes it'll request it. You can just print it out. I'll send you a copy. You can get it. You can get it signed from the client. They will request it. I've done it where I've filled it out. I didn't turn it in. They still issued the policy. They said it was a requirement, and they issued the policy, drafted the client, and turned a blind eye. Well, like, you guys need it, so you don't. It's just for them to cover their butt in case things ever, get into legal matters. That the senior form.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so the senior form is like is it a generic form for all?
no, each company has their
Has their own. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I'll send you a picture if you need one. Or have you seen one?
I think I have somewhere, and I imagine I could, if I needed one from American Amicable, I could go to their website, and they most likely have forms there somewhere I can find.
Yeah. If you don't see it on the Google Drive, I'll add it. I have it.
Google Drive, yeah.
Yeah, check the Google Drive. It should be in there.
Okay. It probably is there, which that combined with there was a comment I think on the Zoom last week about senior forms. So
No worries. Yeah, so it's not as needed.
Sort of a follow-on to that is, okay, that's about, being solicited in the scams. But also when you're talking to seniors,
Okay.
what about if a senior is developing dementia? We're not doctors or anything. We don't diagnose that sort of thing. And I realize
Yes.
whole wide spectrum of dementia, starting with, I can't remember where I put my keys. To,
Yes.
uh,
So great story. Let me expand on that. I think I mentioned this to you,
Yeah,
right? I
I'm
did a
already laughing.
presentation with Nancy last week and a half.
Convalescent.
It was at a convalescent home in LA in Echo Park, right? I'm doing the presentation, I'm doing the final expense worksheet, and I'm asking him, what do you take? What do you do this? What is your banking? What's medication? And the guy just gave me the like the, I'm sorry, I don't know. He had the blind eye. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm all like, you don't know, or it's not registering anymore. So,
pills in the morning and he quaffs it, no doubt. Yeah.
right. So it was a convalescent home, a living care facility. He had nurses. So you just don't know, right? So going back into the senior notice, this is what I said to him. Do you have a power of attorney?
Mm.
Do you want your daughter here about this? Because I know in the back of my head, okay, well, whether I gave him a senior notice or not, will he keep it or will he
Yeah.
forget about it, right? So, but I did mention that. So by California law, and I just recited what the senior notice was saying, like by California law, since we're providing you life insurance programs, you're entitled to have a reschedule. We can reschedule this with you and your daughter if you prefer. You can have your power attorney here. You can have a lawyer here. But I think it's best. I think he was 82, 81 or something. No, maybe even younger, just out of it. It's in your best interest, and also to protect my butt. I said to
Yeah.
cover my butt, to make sure that we're doing this with some witnesses or something. Because and I was telling Nancy when we got out, I was like, I can't, in my good conscience, sell this guy a policy where it can appear where I took advantage of him. The good part is he also didn't know where his bank account was. He didn't know where his money is. His daughter took care of everything.
Account number was or anything.
Right. So the best thing is what I did is, okay, let me provide you the quotes. I took a picture of the quote, but at the bottom, you know how it says beneficiary. I took the beneficiary's name and a phone number so I can follow up with the beneficiary.
Yeah, if I give them the quote, I always take a picture of it with my phone to refresh the memory, if nothing
There you
else.
go. And not just that, I mean, luckily he gave me a text later on that day saying, "Hey, thanks for the visit." I'm all like, "Oh, he kind of remembered." But there's something to follow up. I would do a second follow up on those if they have dementia or Alzheimer's. Another funny story, my first time in the business 3-4 years ago. And we were like, whether we were believing the leads or not, we had mailers, and this guy had the mailer. It was final expense mailer with this form there. We did the presentation. We're doing the presentation in front of him. In the middle, he cuts us off. Wait. What are you here for again? And I'm all like, what? I just freaked out. I was like, oh, shoot. This guy's dementia, man. He was yelling out of nowhere, asking about all these things. Sometimes you just got to get out of there.
Yeah.
You can sell them, but understand if you're selling those type of clients, what are you going to do if they have mental meds, meaning Alzheimer meds, memory meds? It's an automatic AIG guaranteed to issue whole life. It's most likely going to pass on. You're going to get a charge back. So, one thing we did learn from Jack Heller, they're one of the few companies that if you had a client pass away within the first year, you don't get a charge back. So that's shout out to Prosperity. You could use Prosperity if you can. If you have somewhat of a sick people and they pass away, they don't charge you back if it pays out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If it rescinds, then you get a charge back.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully that helps.
Yes, that helps. Okay. I have next question.
Sure.
What if you refer someone to Ethos, that you have a lead? Say I had a lead in California, but this guy moved to Poughkeepsie and I'm not licensed in New York.
Okay.
What happens?
Most likely Ethos will take the money and not pay you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So find out that they've moved, get licensed in that state real quick.
Correct. Are they in that state?
was gonna
Most
say
likely
that.
the
I don't
IP
know
address
the-
will be tracked. But if they're still within California, they wrote the business in California, they still have a PO box address in California, you can get away with it and then they can move afterwards.
Okay, this is just hypothetical. I had,
Correct. So that's one loophole a lot of people are doing out of New York. If they have a business address or a PO box in New Jersey, they would sell them in New Jersey so other carriers are able to be sold out there, because we don't have a lot of carriers in New York to write.
Poughkeepsie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and I was gonna say that I don't know for sure if Ethos is in New York.
right.
So I can find out though,
Yeah.
because that would be a good.
So as long
find
as the
out if they
carrier
are.
can sell in that state, they will take the business. If you're
Okay,
not licensed, they won't pay you for the business.
okay,
Make sense?
okay,
They'll take that free money. You gave them a free lead.
okay.
Yeah.
And I have one more quick question, I think.
Sure.
What
This is what it's for.
2-year contestability?
Okay, so let me expand on it.
The what?
A 2-year contestability. What is the 2-year contestability? So this was created a while back to prevent insurance companies from having to withdraw an application or not pay out a policy in case they've had it for a while. So this was rampant back in the days in the insurance industry. Let's say you were my client, Marianne. I sold you 30 years ago. You died today. Insurance company back in the days would be able to go, hey, something happened in that policy. We shouldn't have to pay out. We'll cancel it. That's what contestability means. They're contesting the payout of a claim. So they created a law that you can only have a 2-year window period of contestability. So that's what 2-year contestability clause mean. So if I sign you up, your 2-year contestability begins on the application's effective date. If you died within the first 2 years, the insurance carrier has the right to do whatever checking, background, investigation, autopsy they wish to contest it. That is their 2-year contestability period.
Okay,
If you had the policy
my application,
from the application date, right? If you had the policy and outlive it for more than 2 years and 1 day, they have to automatically pay out. They cannot contest. So that falls back in line into the Suicide Exclusion Act.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so clients can actually commit suicide 2 years and a day. Their policy will still pay because it's past the 2-year contestability window.
Okay. So if
Yeah,
I
so this,
application about my skydiving or something like that, and they found that out after I passed away.
yeah, so it protects you as the agent. It protects the client from things happening that's slipping through the cracks. If I signed you up, you had AIDS, I somehow got you approved, you slipped through the cracks, died in the first 2 years, they can contest. If you died after 2 years and a day, they got to pay out.
But they're not going to spend those 2 years
Investigating.
your background or anything, right?
Right. Now, if they find out within the first 2 years, here's one thing about America. They're one of the few actually that rescinds an application.
Oh, okay.
So I had a situation.
After they paid out?
No, before.
Okay.
If they catch wind of it, so here's what happened. I wrote a case. Man, I was still mad about it. I wrote a case May 2020. Okay. Earlier this year, was it this year or the year before? Maybe it was May 2019, and I got a notice in April 2021. On the 23rd month of a policy that was active, still paying, never missed a payment, America rescinded my policy with the client. They somehow caught wind that I guess he had diabetic neuropathy. Since then, he shouldn't have gotten approved.
Yeah, at that rate.
They canceled the policy, gave him a refund of all the 23 months premium, and charged me back. Even though the policy was there for over 2 years, almost 2 years.
Wow.
I saw the client a couple of weeks ago and I said, what happened to your policy? And he told me the story. Yeah, so they had diabetic neuropathy. They said I shouldn't have been approved. They gave me the cash back.
Wow.
He's still alive, luckily. Sometimes that happens and the client's dead and then they rescind the policy and they don't pay out. And then I get a charge back.
That's crazy. I never heard of somebody getting a charge back years after.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Cool.
So
That's good to know.
AIG and Great Western actually used to have that. I think they fixed it where if you sold a graded policy, even though you only got paid on the 1 year, 50% advanced, they will charge you back if the client died within the first 2 years, within their graded period.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in the contract. People didn't know about. I think they just changed it. Don't quote me on it though. Yeah, so it's all within the 2-year contestability period. Because at the end of the day, you know, if a client died, the insurance didn't make any money. Why should you keep your money? That's how
Right.
they saw it. It also prevents you and prevents them from having you just write up the world, write up every like cancer patient on their deathbed, and then you think you're gonna get a commission, and they have to pay out at least 10% interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets tricky.
okay. That's all I had on my list. How about Gladys?
Hey Gladys, I'm glad you stuck around.
I don't have any questions. I was just here to listen in.
Yeah. So yeah, things get funny. I mean, that's where we have our E&O for, our errors and omissions. So error meaning that the client or the application or the company made an error. Omissions means you chose to omit an information that should have gotten declined or whatnot. So if we don't have any more questions, I'll expand on it. Same thing that can happen on the smoker rate. Okay. So what it would happen if you got a client approved on a non-smoker, but they actually smoked and then they died within the first 2 years. The company will pay out, but they will actually re-rate that policy to where it should have been a smoker rate based on the premium and pay out that face amount instead. It'll still pay out because they didn't die from like omitted other information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially with the simplified issue products that we have, if they don't have any prescription medication for a smoker, how do they know? If they die within the first 2 years, then they check for the doctor. The doctor finds out they smoke, they re-rate and readjust that.
Yeah, and how many times you call, I've gotten this a number of times. I call somebody, are you a smoker? Well, yeah, but I'm gonna quit in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is this a Pinocchio thing? You know?
So that's where Americo is really good for that. Use the Americo Eagle Premier quit smoking advantage plan. Yeah. So that works out.
What carriers do take smokers?
So all carriers have a smoker and non-smoker rate, but Americo Eagle Premier for age 40 to 85 gives them a 3-year non-smoking quit smoking advantage plan. Basically, if you smoke and you're saying you're going to quit,
Yeah.
we're going to give you the non-smoker rate now for the next 3 years. On the 3rd year, 4th year coming on, we're going to give you a saliva test. We'll send it to saliva test. You send it back. If your cigarette taste or saliva is no longer nicotine included in it, you're straight. You keep your policy, we maintain it. If you're still a smoker, we change it to a smoker rate or we lower your face amount. So we give them the benefit of the doubt for the first 3 years that they're a non-smoker rate. We save them money.
They send it to the smoker and the smoker hands it to his non-smoking friend. Here, stick this in your mouth. What's to prevent that?
There's no witnesses, right?
Fine, but
You don't even need to use the saliva. You can actually use the hot water. You know that. You didn't know that. I didn't know that. Just kidding. Who would know that? Nah,
Marianne's like, no,
just throwing out ideas.
don't listen to John. It's
This-
not legal agent advice.
Back at our old company, people had to do saliva tests. Man, I heard all these stories. People use hot water or whatnot. I'm like, okay, I guess. When you run the lab, there's not even any cell.
Right?
It's just minerals, hard minerals. If it comes back, it comes back. But yeah, that's why we went away with a lot of saliva tests and whatnot. There's so many ways to cheat from it. It's not until really when they pass on, they ask for doctor records, they see it. If it's within the 2-year contestability period, they say something. If it's not, that's all it is. Yeah, same thing with age. Sometimes policies get issued where it's an incorrect age. It just gets re-rated. They'll fix it when the time does pass away. If they're younger, great. It's more coverage. If they're older, it's a less face amount.
okay. But theoretically, we've checked somebody's ID that has their birth date on it.
Yes. Now that everything is computerized, I mean, it's easier now to just double check the DMV records and their social security, and it'll kick back. Back in the days, 10 years plus, we were using paper apps and there was a lot of errors from the agent side.
But the insurance company checks their social and their driver's license number. Yeah.
And if you use AIG on those guaranteed issue policies, they actually have a third party system where you don't even need to contact the company before they know that they passed away. I've had that before where I sold a client in October, they died in November. I called because the wife was telling me that he passed. Well, first I called the wife and the client because we missed the premium. Coming to find out he passed. I called AIG. AIG said, "Oh yeah, we already know." I'm like, "Oh, how did you know before me?" I was calling to collect the payment.
How did they know? Like the death
They said we have a
record or something gets.
yeah. There's something
yeah, there's like a
where
record of.
coroner, Social Security, if the Social Security gets turned off or something, yeah, they found it right away.
Yeah,
Because everything's connected with that. MIB, right?
Yeah, Circon and
sense.
Telescript,
Yeah.
MIB. Actually, that's something to expand on. I got a lot of questions on that, especially with Americo. Let me expand on what an IntelliScript, the Milliman IntelliScript is versus what an MIB history check is. Okay, so if you guys are running Americo, right? You're signing someone up, and then you get the message that says, "Hey, based on this information, based on the Milliman IntelliScript, this is a decline, or prescription check is messed up. We can't approve it," or it says, "Based on MIB, we can't offer any coverage." Okay, so let me explain the difference. So Milliman IntelliScript, there's another names out there. These are third-party companies that when you apply on the social, they will run that system. Okay. There's also a LexisNexis too, but basically these are third-party companies where the social will be seen along attached with all the prescription history available. So with Americo, Eagle Premier, AIG, Prosperity, usually those are the companies that they use. They will see, and then they have from their carrier, they have a list of medications that's matching those. So let's say I sign up Joanne, put in her social, pops up gabapentin. Okay, so that's one of the neuropathy medications for diabetes. So with the Americo standpoint, it'll flag that and it'll approve or reject it on the spot, or it'll offer the 10,000 graded benefit. So, and then it'll say on the message, based on the information we retrieved from the Milliman IntelliScript, here's what happened. If it went to graded, you're done deal, right? If you pivot to Prosperity, you run the same application, pops up the gabapentin. That's what's great about Prosperity. They'll tell you what medication came up. It will have a follow-up question on it and say, "Hey, you're taking gabapentin. Is this for diabetic neuropathy or for something else?" So you can say yes or no. Based on your answer, that's when it'll provide a level or graded plan. So that's what's great about them. With Americo, it's black and white. It'll just say, "Hey, that popped up. You're done." Okay. So if that happens, as the agent talking to the client, you tell this to the client lies to you and says, "I've never taken this medication. How do I get that off?" Well, they got to go through that Milliman IntelliScript, contact them, see what they could do, show proof that they didn't take it, which it's hardly ever.
Yeah.
It's hardly ever appealed. It's on the record. They got prescribed for it, right? So any questions on the Milliman one? That's the prescription check. Now, if it says MIB check based on the Medical Insurance Bureau, that one is a flag based on another insurance company's rating or decline, and they told the MIB. Okay, so MIB, Medical Insurance Bureau, think of it like the DMV for getting a license. Okay, if you got a felony, you got a warrant, you got multiple fines and arrest. If a cop runs your record, they'll see the DMV records. Okay. For the insurance companies, they use the same MIB structure so that they prevent that client from applying multiple times with the same information and it keep getting declined, right? It prevents a lot of overused resources. If you did a physical exam on one, you got declined on it. You don't want to go and do another physical exam from another insurance company, you get declined on it again. Well, the client doesn't pay for the physical exam, the insurance company does. So it's kind of like the reference of what's the history. But here's what trips it out for simplified issue products. If you applied for a fully underwritten term, not that you got declined, but you got graded or rated, meaning that the premium went higher, well, the insurance company still has to tell the MIB on it. Okay, so now that you have an MIB record, you can't apply for a simplified issue. It'll trigger that and it'll pull it, and then they'll say, "We can't even underwrite you." you're no longer a simplified issue case. So it's not that you're a declined, you just don't qualify for a simplified issue plan. So this is where AIG SIWL is expansive on. It's saying that, hey, we don't run MIB. We don't care what other insurance companies care about. We'll run you based on our underwriting. We'll approve or reject you based on that. That's been a common issue for a lot of clients that tried to get a term. They're in their 60s. They got declined for the fully underwritten, but it was just basic stuff like diabetes, high blood pressure, but they can't qualify on a term. Now we try to get them a simplified issue, Eagle Premier, Prosperity, Living Promise, Mutual of Omaha. They can't even get it because they have an MIB record. So it's hard to wrap around it.
Oh, I thought the MIB was just prescriptions and.
That's the IntelliScript.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the Milliman IntelliScript. MIB is something different.
Okay.
Yeah, so Medical Insurance Bureau, that means they were red flagged, meaning they applied for a previous insurance company, got declined or got rated and went up, threw it all off.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had it in this situation with a client of mine. It was a referral of the daughter. I did a policy for the dad. She was the beneficiary. She was the payor. He passed. And come to find out, she has a policy, a term policy from a multi-level company name, starts with P and it's with America. And her plan, she's only like 44. She pays $200 a month plus for $100,000 20-year policy. Really high, really expensive, right?
Yeah.
So I show her like, we could do like John Hancock on you. It's easy. It's super cheap. It's like $50. I run the John Hancock. It says you got an MIB record. Because what happened is she had diabetes in her 40s, whether it's pills or not. Her policy, her term went up and doubled. Actually, it was like table 3, table 4. It might have doubled or tripled. She's approved. She's paying $200 a month on it, but I can't find her cheaper because of the MIB. Yeah. And then, so what you have to do is you have to do a fully underwritten application to try it out, or do foresters and whatnot.
So fully underwritten.
Hello.
Would that, hi, I'm sorry. Can I ask the question?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry. I kind of got in on the end, but
Okay.
with the fully underwritten policy, is that something that would, like what I'm learning is fully underwritten. A lot of times they have to send a nurse out to draw blood. So
that is the definition of a fully underwritten.
okay. However, I found that the IUL for children, they don't have to draw blood on any person that's under 18.
Correct.
So that's something I just learned today. Also, if the person has done the blood draw, and are you saying that you guys would prefer not doing the long form based on that, or what am I hearing?
Okay, so you're complicating things because you're saying long form and short form. That's an application underwriting specific product, specific carrier. So which specific carrier are you talking about? Global Atlantic?
I would say Mutual of Omaha when it comes to an IULE and an IUL. I'm just learning that the IULE, you're limited to some things if you're not writing a long, what do you call it? Because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
The long gap. Like
So
she
yeah,
said.
you're confusing the IUL. So a little product knowledge with Mutual of Omaha. There's IUL Express, which is a simplified issue, and they got
Yes.
3 different IUL policies that's fully underwritten. Okay, so the max capacity of IUL is 300,000, but there's like IUL Income Advantage, IUL Answers that you can write as much as you want, but you need a full application. So you're thinking about the long form versus like a speedy ticket, which is the underwriting application form. Yeah.
Okay. So if you do the E, it doesn't really kick into the MIB. Is that what you're saying?
No, it still does. All of them will kick in.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
But
I misunderstood.
To answer your statement about the to expand on it, the 18 and under, 17 and under, we don't have permission to draw blood on minors. So what they're going to get is they're going to get typically based on the insurance carrier, they're given a tobacco user standard rate. The fully underwritten it's beneficial to get a cheaper rate because it can go from standard, preferred, preferred plus, or, you know, other companies, they go standard, preferred, select, elite. They have different names, premier, preferred. Basically, it's a better health rating. It's good if you're healthier because you can get a cheaper cost of insurance. But if they're older, they have something going on with them, it's not as advisable because it'll be below standard or it can get declined and it throws off all their other optional insurance carriers instead of a simplified.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I've been dealing with some younger people, and so I didn't want to tell them something that wasn't true. And what I've learned is I was saying some things that when I was doing the IULE, the rate stopped at the 300. I'm like, what is the problem? You know, I'm like,
Yeah, that's the max.
Really?
That's the max. So if they want more, then
Yeah.
you have to go fully underwritten.
Yeah, and that one, it looks better to do the income building one. So
Or
I really
FNG.
like. Say it again.
Or FNG, I would look into that.
I don't
compare
have them.
illustrations. Okay.
I have to write what I have.
Okay, gotcha. Now, if you're gonna do those fully underwritten IULs with mutual, also double check if you're authorized to do it, right? Because you have to.
Oh yeah, she's done like the her annuity training and stuff like that.
No,
right?
not
Is that-
annuity, but the IULs. Because IUL is in our portfolio, the answers and the other ones, you kind of have to like allow get mutual of Omaha to trigger it.
Gotcha. Okay. I see
Yeah,
what you're
we'll
saying.
check onto that. But we're running out of time. We're gonna finish up right now. This will be saved and on YouTube, Elite Sales Podcast and Elite Shorts, right?
No, it's Elite Clips.
Elite Clips.
FFL Elite Clips.
Okay.
yeah.
FFL Elite Clips on YouTube. All right. So we'll see you guys then. And then, yeah, we'll talk once we finish, Linda.